Occasionally I like to give you guys some really good examples of nice design. Most of the design that you'll run into around the world is pretty terrible. It's done quickly by people who don't know what they're doing, quite honestly. And when you run across something that is really well designed, it stands out. And a good example of that is a sub-brand that a company called Romex came up with in the 80s called Saturday's Helper. If you don't know what Romex is, it's electrical cable that runs through your walls. We all have it in our homes. So it's pretty common to pretty much everyone's lives, but you'll probably never see it unless there's a problem. Well, in the 80s, they had this idea that they could take their boxes that are typically white and yellow and try to appeal to a more retail audience instead of electricians. And what they decided to do was call it Saturday's Helper, the idea being that they are going to do their do-it-yourself work on the weekends, and that this box would appeal to a retail audience. The first thing they did was they made the box black so that it stands out from the white and yellow boxes that they typically use their wires in. The next thing they did was they simplified the text and only used 3 colors on the box: black, orange, and white. What they ended up with is a product that would stand out on the shelf. If you look at the Romex logo itself first, you'll see that it looks just like the wire. The sheathing on the wire is white and it's got 2 conductors in it. That's what they're showing in the logo type. The next thing that they did was they put everything on a 45-degree angle. This is a classic Swiss composition. I don't know who the designer was that did this, but they clearly studied Joseph Müller-Brockmann and his techniques from the 60s. There's a lot of negative space, and they used a very simple type-only layout. It's very simple and clever and classic. The other thing that you can see in the logo type is a house. So if you look at the E, where the E connects to the X, there's a house with a door on it. So a lot of thought went into the logo type. They highlighted it to get the brand in people's minds who may not be accustomed to dealing with it day to day in their job. All electricians know what Romex is. But when you're trying to push a brand into a new demographic, you've really got to find a good vehicle for the brand and make sure the brand is prominent and paramount in people's minds when they see it. So the biggest thing on the box should be Romex, because at the end of the day, you want to introduce that brand into people's minds. And when they think of wire, they want to think of Romex. So they did that with the Saturday's Helper sub-brand. And if you look at the side, it's a simple layout. Again, they didn't clutter it with any extra information. Everything is simple and to the point. When you look at the back, you can see a magnificent grid. Saturday's Helper is in title case at the top, and then Romex is in the logo type, which is all caps, and then you get headings that are in orange, everything else is in white. But you see a really nice 4-column grid and a bunch of hand-drawn illustrations to show you exactly how everything works, because most people who are going to be using this product, they're not going to be trained on how to use it. So they're going to need some kind of instruction on the best way to deal with it and the different applications that they could use it in. And you have all that information on the back of the box. It gives the buyer just enough information to feel confident that they can use what's inside the package. And that's something critical as well when you're introducing a new brand to a new demographic, is you want to give them confidence that they can buy the product and use it. What they ended up with was a very compelling design, and a design that works for the purpose that they want it to. So why is it compelling? It's simple. That's the biggest reason it's compelling. They didn't put a bunch of extra stuff on it that didn't need to be there. Everything that's on here serves a purpose. The package is only 3 colors. It doesn't need to be any more than that, which at the time would make it inexpensive to print and help keep the product at a price point that someone in retail would be willing to pay for it. Brands may retire, but great design still works. And I encourage you to go out and find things that you think are compelling, pieces of design that speak to you in some way. Figure out why it is you think they're compelling and keep them around you. Keep them in your studio. Look at them for inspiration. When you're dealing with something, it doesn't have to be the same industry or the same kind of package, but keep things around that show you what good design looks like, and you'll start to absorb it, and hopefully it'll come out in your own work.